G'day everyone, welcome along, welcome to Steelhorse Station. We are in March and let's hit the right button. We are jumping over there now. I hope you've all had a great week. 2 to 3 weeks sounds like an awful long time to wait for your results, John. You would have thought they had that process down to a fine art. Now, what are we doing here? Just I bought some pallets to ease the loading and selling process from our dairy. So now just need to get them loaded. So what I've basically done is we've got one each for chocolate, cheese and butter. You're gonna lift. 3 is too many. We know that now. Let's try 1. If I'd left myself some more space, this would have been more successful, wouldn't it? Which one's the butter? Middle one? No, the end one. Let's do it from the other way around then. So we're in March. It's the main thing. They said it was because the person who sent me for the scan needs... no, actually, that's usually the opposite. In my experience, John, if you find out straight away, that's usually, well, at least in this country, that generally tends to mean it's bad news because they don't want to keep it to themselves. Or not necessarily bad news, but stuff that you need to know about. I get very frustrated with that medical process. I actually had a specialist tell me that I couldn't have the copy of the report because I wouldn't understand it, and tried to make out that he required all of his many years of training in order to be able to read the 3 sentences that were written on the letter from the radiologist or from the lab. Didn't take it all kindly to me pointing out that not only was I in possession of a fairly adequate education in my own right, but I was also fairly skilled at looking up and translating medical terminology that was clearly only designed to keep lay people from sorting stuff out on their own. Needless to say, I haven't been back to see that specialist. Don't take kindly to being treated as an idiot when I'm actually paying for his time. But it is frustrating, and I get that there's an interpretive side, and you know there's no you don't want, you need some balance. My mother's a good example. If you gave her, the doctor gave her the results of a test before interpreting it, she'd have 47 different diseases before she'd even booked in for the follow-up appointment. But there you go. Right, we have some product here. Now, what's going on in the dairy? Let's see here. Everything's running. We do have milk, we do have sugar, so in good time this will make some more product, and now when they pop out with any luck we should end up with them. The butter is full, so we'll just let that trundle along. So where we got to, just switching off medical matters, because I'm sure people yeah, there you go. Yes. Oh, look, each to their own, I guess. I don't want to be looking at, well, we know the loans generate a lot of demand on our cash. The first loan we want to get rid of is this $75,000 loan for at 5.25%. So the target basically is to get rid of all of the 5.25% loans. Now that's a couple of $1 million. The interesting part, yeah, back to the stream indeed. The interesting part, and welcome along. I think Mr. Haythornwaite might be hiding there in the background. If not, welcome to whoever's walked in. Glad to see you. So one of the things we'll just do over here, I have, although I intended to build the transport depot, I didn't get that done. I got distracted, and I'll cover that in a minute. But I was able to add the sell points that are in the latest update of the map from Farm Sim Brisco. So consequently, he has put a sell point in the middle of this, which is interesting because this is where we were contemplating putting the rail siding. So it struck me that this is the right sell point to have. What I am proposing to do, and I'm just curious for people's opinions, whether particularly the UK community does a facility that looks a bit like, where is it? It's in buildings, tools. Does a facility that looks a bit like that, maybe not exactly this one, but not that there's many choices, but something along those lines. If I was to decorate around here with a freight terminal for a truck that sort of looks something along those lines, is that particularly out of place in terms of design? Absent that, what I was thinking was to use the ramps and maybe the older age stuff to create a few platforms and to pop a couple of extra containers around to create a few bays that trucks could pull into, that would give some weight to this being a freight depot. So I'm interested to know what folks think, whether the sort of the more open, just some platforms and bays is better, or whether we go, you know, we can put a weighbridge in if we want to. There's a few options, you know, adjustable dock, ramp and container is more realistic. Okay, cool. I'm sort of thinking with all the reason I didn't place it was that I was sort of thinking with the buildings around here, even if it was vaguely sympathetic, it's just not quite the same design and vintage as the rest of the buildings. It kind of looked a bit newish. So that's why I was leaning more with trying to do something with these sort of components myself. But I'll have a fiddle around. We've got plenty of work to do today, so I just thought I would cover that, seeing we touched on it in the stream last week. Now, so you can see the income's right down. That's because we've rolled into March, but our productions are muddling along. So we don't need to worry about loans anymore. We're not going to do anything with those for the moment. We are producing sugar, and that's going straight across to the dairy, and then the dairy is producing value-added products. So that's all good. I turned the pig food factory off because we've got 70,000 litres there. And if we look at our map, whilst we're in March and our grass fields are growing nicely, none of the fields of grass that we planted are actually ready to cut. And so the downside of that is, of course, that we can't put any crops in our own fields. The only field that we can put crop in is 147. So what I'm thinking, oh, excuse me, shouldn't cough in the middle of trying to speak. So what I'm thinking is we'll put some corn in to 147. We've already got wheat in 146, so, and we had the sugar beet in 147 last time. So let's run up the hill. I meant to go to the top of the hill, but never mind. What tractor's that? Let's grab the favourite. Leave the trailer down there. I have bought a load of pig food down, which we can distribute amongst the pigs shortly. And speaking of distribution, welcome along if you've just joined us. I made mention of a couple of mods. Now, what do we want? We want to connect this. Pretty sure we've got enough horsepower here, but we will check. And go and plant some corn is the plan. So the horse maestro is a planter that requires 180 horses, and the Fendt 924, which we're in, has 245, so that'll work nicely. Now we need to change crop to corn, and we'll get some seed off the truck on the way past. You can see we used the last of our cash to load up on some seed, so we're all set, ready to go. Excellent. So as they've since the last stream, we've got all of the equipment out of the Fool on the Hill and sold off that. Oh, actually, did I do that? I might not have. I did not. I did half the transaction. So what I discovered, just a quick aside here, because we're running in multiplayer, well, not because we're running in multiplayer mode, but there is a little quirk that I suspect is a function of the way Farm Sim Brisco has done the objects in the yard. If you buy land and then try to sell it, it requires you to dispose of all of the objects that are on that land before you sell it. So if I try and sell that farmland, it tells me I can't sell it while I own placeables on it. But there are no placeables that we positioned sitting on it. So I had a couple of goes. What I didn't want to do was get rid of everything that's sitting on the block. And so the way to fix it is I just need to go into the save game and change the farm ID for that block, and that will sort that out. But I gave our farm account the value. I just forgot to fix the save file. So that's what's going there. Anyway, that means that all of the equipment is back. Ma and Harold have garaged Paul's car. This field is all good to go. So what we're going to do... Oh, actually, what we haven't done necessarily, before we put the... Doesn't matter the sequence, but I've got a sneaking suspicion we haven't got lime in this field. We do not. Well, let's just stop that. Let's go back here. No, I should have brought the tractor. This one will do. Hey, g'day, Mark. There's no such thing as late. We're playing at everyone's convenience. But thank you for the thought. We're just getting a bit of work sorted. We have plenty to do. John has been very kindly advising me on the best way to set up the transport depot down at International Exports. So I might get that sorted for next week. 5,000 lime. We're just going to spread a bit of lime before we get our own corn planting underway. Now you might have noticed some contracts sitting at the top. So one of the insights that the siblings had, having got all of Paul's equipment relocated down to the sort of southern end of the map, is that when it's all said and done, they're actually a little over-equipped for the size of their holdings. And this really came to light when they started to think about, okay, well, it's spring and we need to plant and seed the remaining crops in our, well, what we've got, or we're going to have, once we get the grass cleared, we're going to have 3 fields down at the sugar factory. We've got 5 fields to do up here, and for the most part we'll keep Penny's fields as grass, making silage and hay. So, you know, we've got 8 or so fields to plant and seed. And when they count it up, they've got between them 6 or 7 pieces of planting and seeding equipment. So clearly set up for much more activity. Now that then prompted quite an animated discussion, because George then pointed out that they also appear to have too many tractors, to which John was horrified and said, how can you ever have too many tractors? So the let's just say that they couldn't agree with George's proposition, which was it was time to sell some equipment. What they agreed for the moment was a plan that sort of Ringo put forward as a peacemaker, which is to say, well, you should have it. I sent it to you, didn't I? Isn't it in Discord? G'day, Mustard Seed. Welcome along. Great to see you. I'm pretty sure I sent it to you with the straight after I did the meringue on Palanque about a month ago. Or Panya, I should say. I will check after the stream, sir. So, as you can see, much equipment. Got even. Good to hear. This is a fabulous map. This is, I really like this one. Why are you not putting any? Oh, there we go. Lime. It's going to use all my cash, isn't it? Well, almost all my cash. We're having a lot of fun on here, Mustard Seeds. It's, if you haven't seen any of the recent episodes, we have the Putneys have moved on a decade. The kids are ruling the roost now and are spread out across a couple of different properties. Paul is in rehab. His farm's just been settled with the bank, so they're sitting back on a big mountain of debt. Thank you very much, Mark. And cash flow is fine, thank you very much. We're just spending it. It's these pesky Putney kids that Ringo's got the right idea. So anyway, what he managed to convince them to do, his peacemaker strategy to avoid commercial wars between John and George, was that they needed to take advantage of all the equipment that they've got while they were coming into spring, particularly as we couldn't do anything with our fields. And so he signed them up for 4 sowing contracts so far. Now he's got a tractor working on one of them up on field 79, putting some wheat in at the minute. And if we have a, oh, actually I shouldn't switch to another screen and just leave the lime spitting out there. So we'll, at the end of this trailer load, because we won't be able to buy any more lime for the minute, we will investigate the contracts. But as you can see, that it's a 12-metre seeder, so it's eating through field 79 quite nicely, and that will allow us to get on top of Mr. Haythornwaite's critique. Yes, where they'd like to get to is to have enough land that the equipment that they've got is a bit more appropriate. Now, whether or not that means it'll get consolidated into some bigger gear over time or not, they were able to agree that first order of business got to get on top of the cash flow. That's empty, so let's, or near enough to empty, let's empty it out. Once they get on top of the cash flow, then really they need some extra fields, and part of the rationale for that is they need the extra fields in order to be able to generate a bit more feed and support a larger pig population. They've got the pen space, but not the feed. So that's the general state of play, but we'll get some more cash in a minute and finish this liming. We'll just check in on a couple of things now that there's a few folks popped in. Anyway, that's what was behind buying the truckload of seed, so that we've got plenty of seed to take advantage of the contracts and keep our equipment working. So let's have a look at the contracts for the minute. So the contract situation. So what's that? 50, 70, 85 grand's worth of contracts. There is a fertilizing contract out there which we'll worry about in due course, but given we're right at the start of spring, we'd expect some more potentially to pop up over the next month or so. That contract load will provide enough cash for us to get through the next couple of months ourselves. Now, while I think of it, just because this was the shed that I was talking about in last week's stream, where the default height it comes onto the map isn't big enough to get the equipment in. Imagine my surprise, and I explained in last week's stream how you could go into the save file and just add 0.5 meter to the Y axis for the placement of the shed once it's been placed, and that will increase because the shed's well designed and the poles and walls are longer than you need, so it'll actually sit up nicely without creating any weird things. Well, imagine my surprise when in the mod hub popped a really nifty little mod which adds this little option. So if you haven't seen it, it's Olaf's mod, which is for moving placeables. And if you select a placeable, it's already on the map, and you hit move, he gives you these axes, which draw out of the center point of the placeable. So it tells you exactly where the center point is. And if you wanted to move the placeable, now obviously I've got equipment and there's a few funky things that could happen if I move it too far, but I can now, all I've done there is left clicked on the purple axis and I can now adjust the position of the shed. More importantly, as I was talking about last week, this mod does in-game exactly what I was suggesting you could do in the save file. Now you don't, if you're on PC, you don't need the save file, is you can just left click on the axis and you can lift it up and you can see exactly how far you can go without exposing any weird artifacts. So you got a little bit of wiggle room there, and that will work on, I won't say all, but on most placeables on the map. So where it becomes very useful, I'm sure you've all come across it, is every now and again you'll put a placeable down and it'll have a concrete floor, and the concrete floor will sit on top of your cleared ground, so you get this big lip. Well, this is then a perfect way to just lower the placeable, so it might be an animal barn or something, but adjust the height without having to adjust the land. So you can put the placeable down in free placement and just let it sit there, and then lower the yeah, maybe he was lurking in the screen, maybe he's just really clever, but it's perfect. Right. The other thing you can do is if you use free placement to put it, I haven't got an example because we don't have a building to place and I can't think of it at the minute. But for instance, if you pop it down using free placement and it looks really funny, you can of course lift it up out of the way. Oops. Lift it up out of the way. So you can then get at the ground underneath, right? Because if I now exit out, it'll leave it sitting there in the air. But now I can landscape the ground, or I can paint the floor underneath my placeable, and then when I want to put it down, just go in, whoops, and pop him down. Now, it's just a matter of getting your camera in the right position to make it easy to do those activities. But I think you get the idea. And then escape when you're done, and Bob's your uncle. So I was just thinking to actually demonstrate how that might work. Have I got an example? I think I do on Jenny's farm. Let's go to here. Got a sneaking suspicion there's a, so Penny's bought these fields that came with this shed when we, oh no, I've already fixed it. Can I remind you of the mod name? I can indeed. Just give me a second. I have to go there, and I'm pretty sure it's called Move Placeable. Let's just Giants Mod Hub. Oh, there we go. Mark's done it for you. But yes, if you search in Mod Hub for OLAF, you'll get Move Placeables. And so what all I'm doing is just, there you go, just showing you a couple of things that have occurred to me. So it works as intended. And the other reason I wanted to show it off, A, it's just really useful. But B, there's a couple of things that you can do with it that aren't necessarily as obvious as you would think. So anyway, that's the mod. So let's go, if it's there, transition you back. So what I was just looking for, can find, there's a couple of sheds and I'm just trying to remember where they are with artifacts that are in the way. Move placeables, that's the one. He also had another mod which is also very convenient. And it's funny you mentioned lurking, because I did make a passing reference to that as well in the stream. Hey, and if we had any part in suggesting it, then fantastic, good on him. If I'd known how to do the mod, I would have. So if you're the sort of person, for instance, that having these weeds poking through the side of your shed offends your sensibilities, then, and remember, this is on the map, right? This isn't a placeable I've put down. So I can select it and it'll tell me straight away if I can move it. I can move it. I can now lift it up. Oops, don't lift it too high. But now I can get at this side wall and come along and say, well, actually, I just want to fix, where was it? It was down there somewhere. And there's a couple along there. I'd actually like to, you know, make the floor come out a little bit further. I've used the wrong texture just to give you the idea. But I can now come back into my buildings, select it, move it, and just pop him down. Right, now in this particular one, you'll see across the front there's a grate. So where there's a grate on the shed, obviously you'll end up with a funny situation if you don't put it back in the same spot. Whoops. But now you can see where I've messed and there's no more plants coming through the wall. So that will work for any placeable. Equally, you can take a piece of this. You can rotate them as well. So let's not rotate a building. I was going to go there next. Well, I was going to go one place first. So this is the piece of decoration that Sim Brisco's in. So left click moves it along its axis. Right, so I can physically relocate it without having to delete it off the map. If the thing with rotation is rotation's a bit of a tricky beast. So yes, it does rotate, but the rotation is around the origin point. And so if I click on the y-axis, I'm rotating it. And the fine tuning for rotation is a little bit more sensitive than the placement. Right, so I can absolutely, so this is just the right mouse button is all I'm doing there, and my advice is move your cursor up and down the axis that you're trying to rotate, because if you put it in free screen, then you get some weird cursor behavior. And the trouble with rotation is it's very easy, particularly if you're using the green or the purple axes, to create a situation that's hard to undo. I don't want to demonstrate that, but you can see that I can rotate in direction. So sometimes to get the rotation that you want, you need to rotate in 2 dimensions. So you need to he does have the perfect edge mod. I saw that come, and I resisted using it. What I'm hoping that he's going to do ultimately, once they've been tested a bunch of times and he's got the track record, is package them into a set, because these are just tools that should be part of the interface. And I can see a really good set of, a toolkit for in-game modification. Because as you can see, right, as long as the map maker has put the objects in the map in a sensible way, you've now got complete control. So, do I want all this to try to slang around? Yeah, I do. I just don't want it quite where he's put it. So I'll just move it across so I can make room for my building or my little road or whatever it is I want to do. Same with trees. Now, and the reason I mention it here is because, Farm Sim Brisco has done some funky things with trees, and that means you can't delete them. Well, what this allows you to do, I believe, without breaking your save, oh no, it won't let you move the tree. Okay, it won't let you select some objects depending on how they're placed on the map. Sorry, I was just thinking out loud, not doing something that I'd tried. But objects that are genuine placeables that are in the placeables file, you can move to your heart's content. Similarly, if you want to move it but not throw it away, you can put it under the map. Just what I mean by that is you can move it downwards so it disappears. Just keep in mind that if you exit out having located it underground, you won't be able to get it back on top of the ground using the tool, because you won't be able to select it from in-game. Right? Anything under the surface you can't get down there to get. I hope that makes sense. But great tool, really worth adding to your toolkit on PC. I reckon it's a ripper. Any questions, comments? If it'll almost now, well, there'll be so many more situations where I'll use that instead of map object hider. It's not funny, because if I can just move something that's placed out of the way, it's far more convenient. Now, obviously, as we just demonstrated, something that's actually built into the map, not placed on the map, is still problematic, but I think you'll agree, very helpful. Now, we'll just, while I'm thinking and we're wandering around, so I did a little bit of fixing over here. So this fence used to be down along the track over here, but given we take the milk out, I decided we needed another gate, so I'll put a new gate and access for the milk tanker, which will just make it easier to get in and out. So that's the plan there. And the other of Olaf's mods, which is kind of cool, but I haven't used very much, is, well, I haven't used it at all. I've only just edited it, in fact, because it came out later in the week, is this little puppy. And you'll notice the eagle-eyed amongst you, there are two new functions at the bottom of the animal menu that give you the ability to import products or export products from your animal shed. So if you didn't want to take the milk, you could tell the production. It in effect turns your animal shed into a production. And so things that the animal shed produces, and I'm guessing that's slurry, milk, and potentially manure, but I don't know, you can get it sent somewhere. So in our case, we mightn't want to just drive the truckload of milk down. We might want to distribute it. So if I now go, will it actually tell me? This will be the interesting test. So if I go now to here and have a look at delivery mapping. It only shows me for, so it doesn't actually make the cow shed a production. It just makes the milk behave as though it's a production, if that makes sense. Now, what I think's more relevant is if we go to the pigs, because we do have a production and that's producing pig food, is I can now import pig food from, so I've basically told the game that this is a production for the purposes of pig food distribution. And now if I go to my factory and say distribute pig food, which I am, it will, the idea is it should send the pig food, right? We have 76,000 litres. It should send that to my pig pens. I think on the hour. So there's, the reason I didn't empty the truck is I have space for food in each of the 4 that have got pigs. So I want to let it roll over the hour and let's see what happens. But so that was the second of Olaf's mods that I just wanted to talk to. So I'm interested to see what people think about Perfect Edge. I haven't used it because I must admit I'm in 2 mines. What am I trying to do? I think we need, yeah, we do. You're on the headland and you've run out of feed. Yeah, that's exactly what I just noticed. John, well spotted. Let us grab that vehicle. So rather than send the big truck up, we'll drop a couple of bags of seed on here and he can run up the top of the map. Let's jump out of there. Don't have a lifting device here. Let's do 4 bags, ought to be plenty. So you can go, what was it, field 79? I'll come back to what I was saying in a minute about what have I done with, there it is, field 79 northeast. Right, turn you off, select you. What? Why can't you reach it? It's only seed. Why will you not drive up there? I put a course up before. That's very odd. Okay, we're going to drive up then. $600 kegs. What, you're watching the Olympics? Those big boys are quite capable. I just didn't want to have to run all the way down and get the telehandler and come back and shift them. I was actually trying to be efficient in terms of your time. Let's sit inside this funky little machine. Don't mind it, even though it's a bit on the slow side. It's quite well suited to running around these lanes and doing the odd little delivery. The only problem is it doesn't have much of a tow capacity. Jesting is all fine. I'm up for it. So what I was saying, Mark suggested another of Olaf's mods is the perfect edge. So what it allows you to do when you're drawing like landscaping lines and things. Am I going straight here is the question? No, I'm not. I'm going right. Is it allows you to pick a direction and then hold that to be a straight line. So if you're trying to mark out the, you know, a grass strip down the edge of a field or something like that, it's perfect for those sort of things. What that immediately made me think of, and there's been a number of situations where I've wanted to do that. On this map though, I haven't added it because I've not been messing with the layout really that Farm Sim Brisco has given us, because I'm just really enjoying it. But it struck me when I was watching the most recent trailer for FS25, and I watched FSG's review of it, and I'm trying to choose my words. So FSG did a great job, so let's be clear, I've got no critique on his video or, you know, his commentary or expansion. I'm just yet to buy into the hyperbole about FS25. Not because I don't think it'll be any good, just that I haven't seen yet much about things that interest me in how I play the game. Now the connection, you must say, what on earth are you talking about? You're babbling. So one of the things that struck me out of that trailer, for example, is that, you know, that it shows the animal pens and the baby animals. Fantastic. But what caught my eye was more the unrealistic animal pens they were displayed in, with, you know, perfectly straight fences and you know, beautifully manicured edges, which, you know, I haven't spent a lot of time on farms. Where am I actually? I've driven to where? I've driven past my turn. But that doesn't look like any animal pen that I've ever seen. And I was kind of hoping that, for all their talk about, yeah, the terrain improvements and the increased detail at the terrain level and those sorts of things, where is this road? Around the back here. That there would be, oops, somewhere over there is where I'm trying to get to. Huh, how about that? Road's on the other side of the hedge, is it? There it is. Haven't been up this way. But I was hoping that there would be some of that becoming more apparent in what we saw about the game, and I just haven't seen that yet. Doesn't mean it's not there, and I might be you know, picking a poor example, but it's one of the things that I think Sim Brisco has done really nicely on here as an example, is his field edges and they're straight, but they kind of look, you know, more realistic within the constraints of working on a 4X map, if you know what I mean. And so the connection between that and the straight lines mod is that that's the only thing that caused me to hesitate when I saw that come out, is, you know, the artificial oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Tessellation that occurs along the edges. I was hoping with the next version would be less in evidence, but so far I haven't seen anything to suggest that that's the case. Now part of that's borne out by the fact that, or it's exaggerated by the fact that we really haven't seen any gameplay yet. We've only seen stuff showing off the graphics, and so when I add all of those things together for the things I'm looking for on the graphics, I haven't seen much that falls into the category of stuff I'm looking for. You know, as a content creator, the ability to have a weather event, yeah, that's kind of cool. I can see that making it into some storylines. Am I going to use it in every episode of a video series? Wouldn't have thought so. Is it something I'm going to look for as a gameplay addition? Maybe once. Can't imagine many farm. Well, so yes, Mark, they, you know, so a 4X map has got 4 times the edge issues. My understanding of the changes that were described at FarmCon, let's go back to the last waypoint and send you back, was that the terrain triangles were 8 to 12 times more detailed. So what I'm hoping is that means that 4X maps should be 8 to 12 times more detailed than 4X maps, so which should still be significantly it should still look significantly better than an FS22 4X map. But it will look worse. So, you know, a 4X in FS25 is going to look, is going to look worse than a 2X in that respect. But it's not just the outright resolution. It's the things like the stuff that Giants can control. You know, base game, pens and pastures. You know, I would have thought if you're going to really show off that you've got some new stuff, yeah, I understand mustard seed. There'll be lots left up to the modders for sure. But I still think, you know, well, baby animals is a good example. You know, surely for FS25 you could combine the animals with expandable pastures and significantly upgrade the animals' experience, and that would be a good thing for modders to do. Yeah, but that's the thing, Mark. They have increased the resolution of the GRLEs. 8-fold is my understanding. If I read the doco correctly from FarmCon. It's the key reason why I think performance is going to be interesting, and why I don't buy their entirely their reason for not what am I trying to do here? For not doing 4X. I buy the time that it would take, but I also think it would buy, if they released a 4X and it didn't perform, they would be buying a rod for their, or creating a rod for their own backs. Right, yes, that's where I want it to be, and I want you to go back to John's yard top. Oh, absolutely. And the concept of, where are you going? Right, I'm guessing I haven't got a route from up here. So let's get you back and drive you somewhere. Yeah, and so absolutely there are a lot of unknowns, and I understand that. I'm just, I guess what I'm trying to express is just a small level of disappointment that I haven't seen anything yet in the material released that it triggers my, oh, just can't wait till that comes. I've got to play it. It doesn't mean it isn't there, just I haven't seen it yet. Thank you. We're just driving back down here to the road so I can put this, my auto drive course only goes in one direction up here. Let's put you back over there. Let's turn you off. But when I get back to the intersection down here, I should be able to get him to drive. That's better. Right. Into you. Phantasmagorical. So what we can do is go and finish that contract. Collect. Now what have we got? That's sugar beet. We'll have to send out planter out. That one is barley in field 16 and canola in field 11. They look promising. Where are those fields? Oh, we're close. 11's just down the road. So let's do that. Let's... What are other people thinking? Am I Robinson Crusoe all alone on my island, or are you guys genuinely excited? If you are, that's fantastic. Really pleased for you. I'm certainly not trying to convince anybody of my point of view. I'm just trying to communicate the observations that I have. Maybe I'm just having a challenging week. Post-Olympic come down. Yeah, that's my concern at the minute. Is we've seen a lot about the first half of your sentence, and not anything to write home about the second half of your sentence. I have no doubt if there are good functional capabilities under the covers, that in the fullness of time modders will do some amazing things and bring them to light. I'm not expecting that to stop or let us down. Just the professional IT guy in me wants the Giants just to lift their game a fraction, I guess. Yeah, and maybe there's an element of that's in my thinking, John. Well, it depends on the mechanic of how they implemented it, Mark. Because if what that means is damaged trees or cut trees can now regrow, because they've written an engine to do that, that could be cool. Now, the thing to keep in mind, John, so I am the first to admit this is my first time through that process. Right, because I started playing after, you know, in the December when FS22 hit the market, so month 2. So I haven't been through this I have no preconceived ideas about 19 or no knowledge of 19 at all. You know, I don't think I probably watched a couple of Argsy's 19 series that he carried on into FS22, but all my learning was in FS22. We want first waypoint. Which crop are we putting in here? Let's check that first. That would be a good idea. Sowing field 11 with canola. Let's go there. Open the course generator, and I think that setup worked well. 3 is probably enough. So the bit that's in my thinking, which is no different to any other content creator, is that, you know, I want to be creating content on the new game. But if FS22 is more fun to play than the new game, that gives me a quandary that I have to navigate that up until now I haven't thought about. Yeah, I don't know what my count. I'm up over 5,000 hours, I think, in 22, so, which is a fair amount. Right, now we have cash now, so we can go back. We've got that contract underway. We can go, where did I leave? Come on. Let's think about the correct buttons to use here. Let's enter you. Where, there it is. Tractor with that on it. Cool. I just haven't looked at Steam today. I could probably do that quickly. Let's just have a look here. Where's Steam? Store, library, farm sim. 4,413. There you go. Let's jump back in there. Let's fill up with lime. So, Mark wins. How did I find that so quickly? If you go to the library page in Steam, if you've bought your game through Steam, John, on the library page, you'll have a little, oh, it's not an icon, but a graphic for the app, and it'll tell you there. I think you can also, is it right click and look at like details or properties or something for the app in the list, and it'll also tell you there. there's a whole bunch of stats, and if you're a bit nerdy, quite interesting information behind the scenes in Steam. Yeah, I would like to as well, Mark, what I've been wondering, and it might be even a question that you posed, was if I buy it from Giants, can I add it to Steam? The main reason that I'm hesitant to buy through Giants is because their servers are woeful. That's a technical term. And I don't want to have to rely on, you know, every time Giants does an update being a day or two behind because I can't get the update from their website. So it's not like you know, so the major content creators actually get access before it's available to the public. So whilst they might be slow relative to their peers, if I'm with the hoi polloi waiting, you know, I remember that some of the fiasco when FS22 came out and they were, you know, releasing weekly updates and people were going for days without the game. It's kind of like, I don't want to be messing with all of that. You know, as much as I'd like to help an Argsy out, for instance. Yeah, that's fair enough. I can't believe for all that he does for their platform that Giants haven't found a way to make Mr. Sealy P a gold partner. That's just so short-sighted of them. I was astonished, you know, a couple of years ago to realise that they weren't giving him pre-launch access to the PlayStation version of the game. That was just like, what? It's your number one console advocate and you don't give him early access. Bizarre. Hell of a way to run a business. That's nonsense, Mark. That's what is the commonly held myth, but it's nonsense. You can't tell me there's no technical way to distribute. All right, I still vividly remember, so in my past life, I ran development for a large financial institution. And I still remember when one of my very clever lead developers came to me quite early on and demoed our internet banking app running on the then PlayStation 3, which was quite cool. Terrifying in terms of security issues, but very cool. So yeah, there's absolutely ways to do it, because that's akin to saying that they can't test on a platform without releasing it formally through Sony, and that's just not true. There are a myriad of technical solutions they could offer him if it was important enough to them. But we digress. So we're getting this done, getting some crop in the ground. I could have more seeders out working, but have chosen not to so far. I prefer to do a couple of the jobs myself. We'll be able to get this corn planting in just a minute. A related thread, but a different track. One of the other games that I quite enjoy playing and have done for, well, I'm going to say decades, because it's certainly more than one, is the Civilization franchise. And for any of you that aren't aware, so Civilization 6 is the current version of it, and the community's working itself into a lather over the imminent release of Civ 7. When I say imminent, it's in Feb of next year. They've been sort of teasing it for a little while, and they had a trailer at GameCon and the like. And it made me smile. It's quite... they're restrictive with their intellectual property, which is fine. It's not an intellectual property issue. They're cautious about their security because they have had well-documented and significant security issues with their platform and the PlayStation Store over many years. And to that end, that's why their practices are quite restrictive. But that's a completely independent question of whether or not it's possible to give Mr. Sealy P access to a version before it's generally available. I mean, the classic example, it doesn't even have to come from Sony. They could give... Giants must have the ability to run their own code, so they could give Mr. Sealy P access on some form of limited basis to a IP tunnel. Private access that would allow him to see the game if they so chose. Right, we shall park that right there. Let's go back and get our corn planting. Where are we? We want that vehicle right here. Much more pleasant than the snow we had last week. Lovely day. Now, let us... Oh, it's going to want to put a lot of... Let's do that. I like that. Generate me a course. Very good. Yes. Is all I will say to that, John. Yes. Start that off. Oh, I can't plant corn until next month. Is that what you're telling me? I knew there was a reason why I hadn't started this yet. I can plant sugar beet. I do not want to put sugar beet in this field again. We had that in here last time. I don't want to put canola in, or barley or wheat. We have plenty of wheat planted. If I was going to put anything in, it'd be sunflowers there next month as well. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. Let's see what we did have a sugar beet contract to plant sugar beet, didn't we? Barley. Sugar beet, field 39. Where are you? Let's head over there. 30, 41. It's probably flashing at me. Do you reckon I can see it? It is. It's blue. It's right there. It's not that far away. Let's send you to field 38. Yeah, it's funny how different colours flashing attract different people's attentions. I couldn't see that for love nor money when I first looked. I had to look away in order to spot it. Now, let's go to field 39. I don't have... Did I say field 38? Was that... Yes. That's the one I wanted. Let's drive down there. Good. Let's check back in on our pigs. How about that? So it filled up one. Because I only turned import on in one yard. So I needed to turn it on in all of them. But it does, in fact, work. So that's pretty cool. So that's the second of Olaf's mods in the last couple of weeks that I've added, which I'm also now a big fan of, because whilst we can go around and dump our own grain in, once you've kind of done it a couple of times, the thing about with the trailer all the time is not what you want to do. We will do the occasional. So for instance, when I'm sure we've got enough feed, I want to set up these ends so that we can start to expand the numbers of pigs we've got, because we're going to breed. What have we got here? 13 months. Next month we're going to get another 50 pigs in there. The same in that one. So we're about to see a population explosion. Oh, that was the other thing that I did, which you wouldn't have noticed. So these pens don't have manure set up on the base map. They're set up to take straw, but there's no manure pen placed. So I created one, and I was curious to see what would happen. As you can see, it's working, but more importantly, have a look at the pop-up in the bottom right corner. when I placed it, it connected to all of the pig pens. So you can see I made it quite a sizable lot. I thought it was appropriate to pop it here next to the slurry. And the fact that I can get all of the pig pens to load into here in one go suits me just nicely. So what I actually wondered was if I put a silo extension for slurry, can I turn one of these ponds, which are just decorative at the minute because the slurry's in each pen, could I turn one of these ponds into a slurry extension and get all the slurry at one point? So that will be the next experiment, I think. But if you are wondering, that is definitely possible with manure. Of course, you want to have enough manure capacity. There's not much point putting one down and it only takes 100,000 litres because your pig pens will fill it really quick. But 4 million we've got over there, so that's going to work nicely, I think. But the pigs are looking healthy. Straw is going in, so that's all good. Right. Next job. Next job indeed. Cows are good. Well, we do have 2 more contracts, so we could get another seeder out and going. That would be a good idea. There you go, John. Just a little problem that you need an answer to. My gates are working nicely onto our little meadows here. You will notice in a couple of places I did change the gate animation so that they open just a fraction wider than 90 degrees, because that's just gives you so much more freedom than a straight 90. There's nothing wrong with 90, but just there's a couple of places where the placement of the gate will cause some odd clipping issues, but for the most part they work fine. That I could make that problem go away with just a little more editing, but it just wasn't worth the time. Now, I've got a big tractor. Let's get you out of the way. Let's just park you over here. How much horsepower have we got? It's a 180. Which of our seeders, if any, can run with 180? So Lemkin's being used. The Rapide is 240. You've got... Actually, what about the Airsom? The Airsom would work. Can I get you in there? Back in the corner. Perfect. Now, let's top you up with seed while we're here. Can you reach from there? No, you can't. Perfect height for loading you. That'll do. Now it's 39 is where we sent the other guy. We're going to 16, aren't we? What's up near 16? There's 11, 15, 16. Okay, so we might stop in the pub for a lunch. Put a stopping point in the pub just in case. Yeah, you can go that way. So we talked about sell points last time, and I mentioned because I was using an earlier version of the map, I didn't have them. And now if we go and have a look, we will see that for our sugar, we now have the two pubs, or free houses as they're called, are both sell points. So we'll pop over there in a sec. And the international exports, which as it turned out, for those that weren't here at the start of the stream, international exports is actually right here, which is, it's just a sell point right in the middle of this yard. And as I was saying to John right when I began the stream, my plan is to make this a truck yard. We talked last week about putting a rail spur across here, which I could still potentially do, but I actually think I would prefer to go with Brisco's intentions and just build some platforms around the sell point. So the sell point's right in the middle of the flat area there, and what I'm thinking is to put down where are we here? Buildings, tools, some platforms, maybe something like so, sort of worn, with some containers and things like that, just to sort of decorate it a bit. So I'll give some thought to how that might work and how we might lay it out. So that's going there. If we jump up to the other two sell points, so there's one up, where are you? Here. So this is just right here somewhere. Oops, if I turn it on, it's probably around the other side, is it? Beer garden's out that side. The sell point's probably around here somewhere. Huh. Is it not marked? Oh, there it is. That's not what I expected. But the sell point's actually in the field. How about that? I hadn't looked closely. What are we planting? In where? Up there. That's canola. Is that what we're supposed to be planting in field 11? It'll be annoying if it's not. It wouldn't be the first time. Field 11 has canola. That is correct. Luckily, because it's almost finished. And field 39 should have sugar beet. And field 16 should have barley. So let's go and fix the guy that's down at field 39. He should be right about there. Oh, the planter I just hooked on was set to wheat. Good pickup, thank you. Now you're trying to get into where? 39, which is to our left here. Let's... Can I get in through that gate? Maybe. Or maybe not. Nope, there's a hedge. This is not the entrance to this field. There's a track up there. Where do you come out? That's a walking track by the looks. Where is the entrance to that field? Field 39. No, it must be round on the road. Okay. Right. So this has now got to be Sugar Beet. Oops. Just driving a straight line. Over there somewhere, it looks like where I should be. $39, this is the spot. Open the course generator. Generate me a course. Perfect. That's the one we want. Quite sure why he felt the need to do a U-turn. We were right there anyway. Contract on field 11 is finished. That was quick. Let's go to 16. Well, 16's almost up there. We'll just let him finish the... It's only got 35 seconds to run. Let's do the whole job. Still trying to live without Pro Shot. Well, that worked very nicely on this field. Good little money spinner. There. And you can, because we've already got a tractor up at 16. There's no contracts to... Oh, that's a nice fertilizing contract. We might take that one. I'll send you back to John's yard. And let's get the guy at 16 that we sent here. Hey, good work, John. Good work. Yeah, so we do want to go to the right. There we go. If you get the right setup, there's lots of variety. And there's some great farms that lend themselves to all sorts of activities on this map. All sizes. You know, if you're even a bit daunted by a 4X and you just want to play in a corner, you can do that as well. That's that 16 just there. So, supposed to be barley, isn't it, John? Whoops, there's a rock right on the corner there that I did not see. Let's check that we have got the right crop. Sowing on 16 is barley, temporary course. Let's do 4 headlands with this cedar. It's a good spot to start. It's a good sized field. Probably need to come and fill this guy up again. But it's a good combination. The ASM worked quite nicely for us in the original Putney farm. So we'll leave him to it. We can go and finish the contract on 16. No, on 11, let's say that. We can collect you. We'll go to Ringo's place and pick up the truck. With the spray rig on. Oops, turn all those off. But the time is getting away from us on this work day. So this is the truck we want to get dispatched. He's got a bit of liquid fertilizer there. I could fill up with a little bit more. Handy little rig for Ringo's contracting business, this one. Yeah, we off. We might, by the time we get to our own fields, we might need to purchase some more fertilizer. And you're fertilizing field 79, are you? Yep. And is that the one I had trouble driving up to? Yep, I'm gonna have to fix that. Okay. We won't worry about that for now. It's getting a little bit on the dark side. Did sell a couple of loads of silage. We've got 173,000 in there just to keep that stocked up. Or just to keep enough on hand to keep the cows fed. Let's just make sure we've got enough cow feed. And we don't. What's that? 31,000. Let's have a look. So they're eating 14,000 a day. So there's 2 days worth of food there. And 3 days worth of hay. So we're not too bad, but we could do with another load of food. We might just roll forward to the next day. Almost at the time of year where we can go to 7 o'clock. Let's see. Right. Great demand of British grain. We don't have any to sell. And we'll come and do 1 load of cow feed. There's none in it. No. Very well trained, these cows. Just completely ignore open gates, which is good to see. I did discover that even though these are auto load forks, I can. What's the operating position is B. Can pick up one at a time if I'm selective about how close I get, but it is my intention to swap them out to be not auto load. Actually, I want to try something. It's in a minute. Drop those in there. Let's go get some silage. And actually sort of in the right spot. Yep. Beautiful. Like a well-oiled machine. Penny is keen to expand and put another pasture on the other side of the track there, so we can potentially double the size of the herd we're carrying. That'll be a little bit of cash further down the track. So that'll do. Don't know why the bale glitches in there. It's not actually there anymore. I mean, it's physically there, I can pick it up, but it's got no volume. We'll leave that there for now. That's what I wanted to do. Let's just see if I can take the auto off those forks. Don't need auto load on the bale forks. Isn't something that I consciously selected. Let's drop it in there. Attaches telehandler, loading mode, manual. That's what we want. Customize, yes. Let's see if that does the job. That's looking better. That's how we want it to operate. You can wait until we need to do the next load. Good-o. Well, folks, we've done some good things today. Wonder if this was one of the sheds I needed to... No, it's not. Just a couple of weeds. Maybe it's back at Penny's farm. I know there's a shed that I did notice that I'd put down that had an issue. Interior issue that I discovered. It could be one of these ones that I haven't used. No, you're fine. Ah, there we go. I've got a little bit of landscaping to do there. So this is an opportunity to do what I was talking about before. So if we move the shed, use Olaf's mod to lift him up. And so now I can get underneath and flatten it down. If you weren't here at the start of the stream, this is a Move Placeables mod by Olaf, available on the Mod Hub for PC, and it's very useful for a number of things beyond just relocating placeables. So we can do that like so. Then we select my buildings, select him, move. Oops, too low. Let's get a little bit closer there. This is what I mentioned. This has got the grate in the floor in the doorway, so you want to put that back down at the ground level that it was at. That looks pretty good. I could still do some smoothing out over there, but it's substantially better than it was. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, everybody. Hope you had a good time. Thanks for watching. Very much appreciated. I will be back on a Monday evening next week. All being well, it is planned. So I'll see you at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard if you're around. Until then, have a good weekend. Stay safe, everyone. See ya.